Hi, guys, and welcome to Desi Dutch. This is your host, Andre, and today I have a very special guest with me. Areeba Jibriil is here with us, and Areeba Jibriil is one of my oldest friends. I think one of my first few friends ever when I moved to Pakistan because we used to share the van together. That was what, 2003. So it's been 17 years since I actually.
Not 2003.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
moved to Pakistan in 2003, so
Yeah, yeah.
2006 maybe.
I don't know. I met Hassan in class four, and I moved there in
Met
class three.
Hassan in class 4.
Yeah,
You met
so
me in class 8.
class eight. No, but you were always
Yes,
in the van, weren't you?
in class
In
8.
eight. Okay. So yeah, I got that
Really?
wrong. I'm sorry. Class eight. So that's still what? 12 years. Easy.
Yeah.
I always mess this up with Ahmed. I always talk about, I know Ahmed for 15 years and he goes, like, we met in class seven. Damn it, we met in class seven. I'm like, it feels like 15 years, Ahmed. But yeah. So
Yeah, Mintu, talking to you always does feel like a lifetime.
so yeah, as you can see, it's been quite a while since me and Ariba talked. So it's going to be a lot of catching up. And Ariba is coming to us from Detroit. No, Detroit? No.
Kind of. The Metro Detroit area, so
Yeah.
Canton, Michigan.
Yeah, Canton, Michigan. So yeah, she's in the Michigan State area, and she's going to be telling us a lot about what's happening there. She's involved in a lot of voluntary activities as well, as far as I've seen her posts. So she's going to be talking a lot about that. If any one of you is interested, any one of my listeners is into all of that, you will hear a lot of details about that from Ariba. So without any further ado, Ariba, welcome to Desi Dutch. How are you feeling?
I mean, I feel like it took a pandemic and a quarantine for me to like be like, okay, fine, I'll be on your podcast. So, you know, that's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, well, of course, it's understandable. It has been a long time since we talked. Last time we met was in 2017
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you came to Pakistan, and I also moved to Pakistan at that time, I think. So that was
Yeah.
the only time we met, and then our life has been digital since then. But it has been working. We do casually catch up with each other digitally. You have our group in which we talk. So I feel like that's one of the big positives of this quarantine lockdown, that you get to meet people, you get to catch up with other friends that you were normally not in touch with, and it's kind of great to see you, to hear you, and hopefully it's going to be fun to talk to you about all of this, because I know you will have a lot of opinions on this matter.
Why does everyone think I have a lot of opinions? I really don't.
So tell us, just
None.
tell us, how's it
Okay.
going, like generally, how's it going?
So I'm pretty lucky. I'm in law school right now. I'm 2 months away from finishing my degree. Unfortunately, commencement's been canceled, which is really upsetting. But that's probably in so many ways the worst part of this lockdown for me is like having to move. I moved back home. I'm doing all my classes virtually now. It's a lot harder to do classes virtually. I don't. I've never skipped. I've skipped more classes in the last 2 weeks than I had like in my entire law school career. So I haven't been doing a very good job on that front. But beyond that, like everyone in my family can work from home. We're all mostly quarantining. So for the most part, this has been like I'm pretty lucky in how this has played out for me, even if I don't necessarily love it.
Actually, it's weird because for me it's the opposite, right? I'm working right now, and we're also gone virtual, right? And I'm loving it. We have stand-up meetings every day, and I'm a big fan of working from home. And my colleague calls me every 3 days. It's like, we just want to check up on you. She's the office manager. There's another HR manager. They are calling everyone. How you doing? How's it going? And my answer is always, the best time of my life in Fastnet is right now. And they're like, why? And I'm like, I'm so productive, so happy. Don't need to meet people. Get up, get to work, get it done. And you know me, I'm a very social person. I
Yeah,
want,
you are such a social person.
I
That's why
want,
I'm so confused.
I want that social gathering, yes. But in terms of work, I really have segregated my life. Like, work is work. Get it done. It's just a means to an end. You have the money, nothing else on top of that. The people I meet there are really nice, and I wish I could have something more with them. But for me, it's work. Get it done, get it out. And then after that, I have my life. So that
So I
part of,
guess that's the difference, right? Like I
yeah.
was in school, not work, and so I liked having the opportunity to randomly run into my friends and like go out and do things. And because we were in our third year of law school, like our last year, which is when you start to recover, you take the time to like throughout law school there are people that I love that I like interacted with only on campus, and we were always like, we're gonna get brunch, we're gonna get brunch, we're gonna get brunch, and that's gone now. Like that opportunity is done. Like we will not be doing that. We won't have like the little moments in class with people that I like, but I'm not like super close to, like, and just that kind of thing. But I'm also just not like, I really should just, I think, so I've been doing this is day 15. My school shut down 15 days ago, and so that's when I started like basically socially isolating myself, especially because the first couple of days when no one else was taking this seriously, I was a little sick, and I knew it was allergies, but because of everything else that was going on and everyone being paranoid, I had to spend those first couple of days when no one else was taking it seriously at home. And now like everyone else is taking it seriously, and I don't want to go out, even though today's day 15. I know I don't have corona. Even if I was asymptomatic, like I wouldn't have it, right? Like I've gone to the grocery store one whole time since I've been like, yeah, so I've been doing it legit. I
But how
walk.
you been handling it? How you've been handling it? Because
I
it's
mean,
my
not super well, right? Like I have been, it's like, it's almost like I'm like, it's summer. So sometimes I think about it and I'm like, it's like summer vacation in Karachi, especially because like you had it better than I do. I didn't mention it,
definitely.
right? Like you definitely did, because you could actually walk outside, but there definitely came a point where it was so unsafe to randomly wander around Karachi. And you did it. And Hassan, my brother, who was also our friend, did it too. But I couldn't do it. I was like stuck at home. And so summer vacation in Karachi was like, if we went to my nanny's house once a week or something, or if we went to like, if I once a month I would make plans with my friends to go to the mall, and that
Yeah.
was my social life. And so part of me is really extra angry because I'm like, I did my quarantine time. I did my and now that I'm like, independent and on my own, and I was planning trips and I had stuff I wanted to do and like the world I wanted to access, like I'm stuck at home. So I'm just mad because I'm like, are you serious? Like
It's opposite, right? Like for example,
yeah.
for me, you did your time, and now you're like, this is my time to shine, and now you can't do it. It's annoying. For me, it's like, you know what? I'm done with all the masculinity I had to show, and now I can just be myself. I can just stay at home. No need to
In your
worry
pink
about
shorts.
in my pink shorts.
Your
No need
pink
to show any.
Bermuda shorts. Yeah.
No need to be macho about anything. I can cry. I can be happy, and I'm like, yes, I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Yesterday, I cooked
Yeah,
parathas.
which you
I was
love.
so happy. I was cooking parathas yesterday. I cooked aloo fry. I've been cooking so much stuff. It's been fun for me at least now, but it's still day 10. And you're at day
Yeah, it's still
15,
day 10.
and you're at day
I mean,
15.
I think a day 15, I'm actually getting more used to it, and it's like like it's subdued. Like some days, like one minute I'm like really angry, I'm stuck at home, and then another minute I'm like, what was I gonna be doing right now anyway?
That's what I love about this day, like this thing whole, because most of people are like, we want to go out, we want to do this. This is not what the life you wanted to live. And I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
what else did you do on a Thursday afternoon or a Thursday evening? They're like, stayed home, watch Netflix. And I'm like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
Netflix. What's the difference? We don't have the choice. That's all what everyone's saying. We don't take up your illusion of choice. That's all we want. If you force us to stay at home, we not want to stay at home. If you don't force us to stay at
But
home,
I
we
think
might stay at home.
it's harder when I think of the long term, right? Like, yeah, everyone's like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, right? No, this is going to be 6 to 8 months, right? We're all trapped in this for a while. And like, I had plans for July. I was going to go do things. I was going to go travel and have this big trip. And like, that was going to be my graduation gift to myself that I was going to finance by myself. And like, I was excited about that. But so that, I think that's when I get angry. But the first couple of days were a lot harder because it was like, oh my God, what's happening? And those couple of days, that's when I was doing more like fundraising campaigns and like had friends who I was working with to figure out ways like, okay, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? And that, like, anytime I was panicked, I was like, let me just go find a cause to work on. And that helped.
Yeah,
I
for
was like, all right,
people.
some people have it work. Yeah.
For people who are hearing this, it's quite obvious. You can hear from Areeba's enthusiasm. She's a proud activist. She just wants to find a cause, and she's going to work on it. So, what kind of causes are you working on right now? If you just want me to like cut you off here.
So this was like me and a couple of group of friends, even before like our school had shut down. It was so obvious that this was going to happen. And so we were just thinking about like, okay, who needs help right now? Like, who are the most vulnerable communities in our local area who are impacted? Because like this feels like very much like yeah, a lot of people are paying attention to the national government and Trump, and I feel like you're going to want me to talk about that. But honestly, I'm like, that man's a liar. What is the point in listening to him? So I've ignored him, and I'm like, all right, what is happening in my area? Who are the most vulnerable communities? Who are the people who are going to be the most impacted? And how can we help them? And so even in that first week, one of the first things that like someone had talked about, like the governor, the first headline I remember seeing was like the governor talking about putting a moratorium on water shutdowns in Detroit. And so Detroit, so Michigan, something that you should know about Michigan is that we have some of the largest concentration of fresh water around our state. Like almost all the Great Lakes connect to Michigan in some way. And yet, even though we have all this fresh water, they have cut off, they have since now I can't remember how long, but it's been a couple of years. For a couple of years now, they've been cutting off water to Detroit residents who are unable to pay their bills. And if you hadn't heard, and like Flint, Michigan is also, is like an hour and 15 minutes away, where a couple of years ago there was this crisis where they discovered really, really, really high levels of lead in the water. And it's something that, the residents had been complaining about, and they'd been shut down and lied to. Barack Obama, there's this famous video of him fake drinking a glass of water from Flint, being like, this is safe. And it was not actual water from Flint tap water. And so that was like this whole conspiracy. And so there's a huge history of like water being like denied to people, even though it is a basic fundamental human right. And so that's something that, because we saw that headline, we thought, okay, so there's going to be a moratorium, water's going to be put back on, but there's going to be $25. There's going to be a $25 charge that you're supposed to keep on. And so we were like, oh, maybe we can raise money for that $25 because everyone's going to be in, like, this is going to be such a stressful time. Who knows how communities are going to be able to cope? Like, maybe we can put forward that $25. And then it turned out, so my friends and I reached out to different organizations. We found a grassroots organization that was working there. It was really important to find a grassroots org because we didn't want some national org coming in and telling people. We didn't want to be, like, I live in Canton. It's not Detroit. It is, a much nicer suburb. I didn't want to be, my friends who were also working on this project, we all live in the nicer suburbs of Detroit. We didn't want to be like coming in and telling people what they needed. We wanted to find out what they needed. And as it turned out, when we reached out to this grassroots organization, that they didn't need help with the $25. What they needed help with was a couple other causes and like amplification of the problem. And so they've been actually working on a social media campaign, hashtag turn the water on, hashtag keep the water on. And we didn't feel like we could help them with that. Like, I mean, Mintu knows, like, my social media presence is like, for my 400 followers, not for like, no one else cares about what I have to say on social media. And
You're
so
still more active than me, right?
I mean,
So
I'm active. I have
yeah.
like 4 people who are like, ha ha ha, you're entertaining. Please keep this up. But like, that's it. I've got an audience of like 4. No one really cares. They just want to see like the occasional video of me like harassing my little sister. And so we didn't feel like we could do them justice on the front of like, helping amplify their voice. But we knew like we had access to this community. Alhamdulillah, like being part of the Muslim community in Michigan, like you have access to fundraising money. Like, everyone does love to give so long as you can reach out to the right people. And so we thought, okay, let's start with that. We'll start fundraising there. And my friend Dia, she was like the big one to kind of call them and like run with it. And when they were like, okay, here are the options that you could fundraise for. And we focused that fundraiser on our school community. And we were actually able to raise around $4,500, which
Wow.
was amazing. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
was way more than we had expected. Like, we did not think, we thought maybe 1,000, if
Yeah.
that. And so 4,500, which was like beyond our wildest expectations. So like, Michigan law, thank you for helping us raise that money. And then, so that was like the first big vulnerability we found. And then the second one we were thinking was, as the week continued, it became really obvious that public schools were going to so that was like Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, we're like, okay, public schools are about to shut down. Like, they hadn't yet, but we knew, I think by Thursday, Friday, we knew, my sister's in high school and public high school too. We knew by Monday things were going to be shutting down. And so we thought, all right, like, what are kids going to do for school? Like, what are kids going to do for meals? And so we started reaching out to different organizations, trying to figure out like, what can we do? And apparently a ton of people in the Michigan community also had that same thought, and so there were a lot of restaurants who were offering free meals. The schools, one of my friends reached out to the Detroit Public Schools directly, and they said they would have a plan forthcoming, and they eventually actually said that they were going to keep the schools open for people to come and pick up food at certain times, and that's eventually what like most schools in the state ended up doing. And so we thought, all right, like that's pretty much covered, but food insecurity is still real. How do we help with that? And so one of my friends reached out to Zaman International, and so she, which is an org that's been their founder was featured on CNN's Heroes very recently. She's been doing amazing work helping people get access to food, and so we started raising money for them. And for that campaign, we thought already this is the same group of friends who are all part of like the Muslim Law Students Association at Michigan, and we already knew that these people were like, we already knew we'd already tapped out the fundraising pool from like the law school, so we thought especially because we were raising money at the same time, so we thought, all right, let's do this one through like the mom group chats. And so we sent them to our parents. My mom forwarded out to
I
her
saw
friends.
that. I saw that. It was
Yeah.
wonderful. It was
Yeah.
amazing how the parents were all enthusiastic about this, and how the
Yeah.
our Dini parents are like, like I saw the message from your father, and you sent it all like, okay, we should be doing our duties and our responsibilities of helping other people out. It was all so cute.
Oh, that one was for voting. That was
Oh,
my dad like
oh,
encouraging people to vote for
oh,
Bernie.
yeah,
He
that
was
was
like, because he
voting.
knows
Yeah.
his friends, and he's like, you're all gonna try and vote for Biden because you want less taxes, but you know Bernie's better for us. So that was his like low key subtle messaging to his
Oh,
friends who are like on the wealthier end of the spectrum.
oh, nice. Yeah, I remember
Yeah, that was his
that.
like low key subtle messaging to them. But yeah, no, my Baba has his own like food pantry like that. So he's not like advertising my campaigns because he has his own food pantry he's raising money for.
Oh,
So we're
nice.
all like, yeah. And so I would been helping out with that one. And then so we've done like food insecurity, then another big shortage, which is so unfortunate in America because considering, we're quote unquote one of the wealthiest countries in the world, is the lack of protective personal equipment. So I haven't really been doing much on that front. And that's like, I think third, that's like what I need to like, now that we're like closing down our other campaigns, like we've already finished the water one, we're almost about to finish the one for Zaman. We're trying to get to our last 2,500, so if anyone wants to donate,
Anyone wants to donate, you will have Areeba Jibreel's number, not number, like contact information in the links, and you can just contact her directly.
yeah.
And if I'm like, my presence is exactly like your presence, so like there are a couple of people listening to it right now.
I know.
So if you hope that any one of them is really interested, they would really be into donating or anything. But yeah.
Yeah, hopefully, right? But
Hopefully.
I think we're like $300 short of that goal. We want to be done with at 2,500, so I think we'll get there. I'm not worried. But once I'm done with that, the other two things that I'm thinking about are protective gear for doctors. But I think even that is relatively more mainstream. The fourth one that I'm trying to figure out how to get involved in, and that's something that I've been trying to figure out how to get involved in since the start because it's so related to what I do, like because I'm in law school anyway, is to figure out like ways to help reduce the prison population in Michigan. And so, letting non-essential people, or not non-essential people who, have a health
Petty
reason.
crimes. Do you
Yeah,
mean petty
petty
crimes?
crimes, but also like anyone who's like people who are being held in jail even though they have not actually been convicted for a crime yet because they can't
Okay.
afford to pay bail.
Bail.
So
Yeah.
one, people like that, but also people who are in prison but have a health reason and should be allowed to leave, or there's some reason like where their case is at that they should be allowed to go. So that's like the thing that I've been trying to figure out how to help with, and I've reached out to like professors and I've reached out to like random orgs and like have not been able to find a connection with, but that's like the next, I would really love to help
Well,
there.
that's a very difficult, actually, a very difficult measure, especially in a country like the US, right? Like, I'm from Europe. I mean, I'm in Europe right now, and I see how it's working, everything here, and it's like a literally contrasting difference between how these things work. So maybe like my suggestion would be for inspiration, you can also ask professors or people here in European universities in the law department to maybe help you out with that, because here obviously they're constantly working on this kind of stuff. They're constantly working on trying to the concept of, I don't know what you call it, but when you're trying to convert your prison population into benefiting members of the society again. There's a word for that, but I don't remember it.
Rehabilitation?
Rehabilitation, yeah, something like that, right? There are a lot of projects here about that. They really believe in second chances and everything. So incarceration is not really a big like a big thing here compared to, I think, in US. I'm assuming. I don't.
Oh, in the US, it's like the highest of any of our peer countries, and it's
Yeah,
like beyond. The US incarcerates more people than like even just like if you compare absolute numbers, it's like it's terrible.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
I mean, like but right now, I think like in a very specific crisis response situation, like I'm trying to think of like, okay, like can I write someone's bail memo? Like, can I write a
yeah.
memo? You know what I mean? Like, what
Okay.
can I do right now? Can we fundraise for a bail fund? Like, which I mean, we could, right? If I could find the right person. I've been trying. I've reached out to a couple orgs, and I'm like, ooh, like, because we could
Yeah.
money. I think. I mean, at this point, we may have tapped out. Like, I don't know how
Yeah.
much more of my
Yeah.
network
Yeah.
I
You have a
but
certain network, right? How many times can you ask your network to give and give and give?
exactly. And like every
Uh,
2 days, you've seen my Instagram stories. It's like, so here's a new creative way. Like, oh, did you want to wash your hands? Well, guess what?
guess what?
But it's like it's pretty bad, right? In Michigan, like the rates. So I'm very focused on like my local politics because like what
Yeah.
can I do about Trump? Like I can't right now do anything about that. We've already voted in the primary. Like all that's done right now. I'm
Yeah.
like very focused on like what can I do for my local
Locally,
community. and
yes.
and Michigan right now, like in the Detroit area, hospitals are very close to running out of beds if they have not already. And like where our rates are increasing, I think second only to New York in terms of infection. Like things are getting pretty bad, even though we have a stay-at-home order. We've had a stay-at-home order. Honestly, the days are all blurring together now, but it was one of the Wednesdays. It was either last Wednesday or the Wednesday before
Very
that.
good. Yeah, but
Yeah.
did you see the recent report? They actually, John Hopkins University actually tallied the numbers, and they say that the US has now more confirmed cases, according to
Yep.
them, than China and
Yeah.
Italy. And I was
Yeah.
shocked. I mean, like, seriously, like, I don't know about Italy, the confirmation, but China, it was confirmed. They were like, it has more
Oh
cases
yeah.
than China. And that's
Yeah.
shocking because,
And that's not everyone's getting tested. Like I know a
yeah,
friend
yeah, but that's
like I
everywhere. That's
right,
everywhere,
right.
isn't
But I know
it?
somebody who like tested positive, like or not didn't test positive, but like everyone's fairly certain they have it, and it's like, yep.
It's just very a very difficult time, and obviously Trump is quite obvious. And if feel free to comment if you want, and I don't think you would really be interested in that, but I'm more interested, as we said, you are doing all of this around you, and this is your day 15 in the lockdown. How is the stay-at-home order, and like what is your local government doing to prevent this infection from going on?
So, okay, so one thing that's important for people to know that I think most people don't understand is that the US is like a federalist country, right? Like
Yeah,
that might be something you might know, but
yeah.
because every state has a lot of power in their own
Freedom,
right.
yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
to make their own choices about how they want to do the lockdown and like how they want to enforce things and whatever. Because Michigan is like top 5 right now in terms of like corona cases in the country, which could be reflective of more testing than other places, or it could be reflective of like a higher rate of infection, especially in communities like Detroit that have been neglected for so long in terms of like access to healthcare
Healthcare,
outcomes. Yeah,
yes.
and are more likely to have underlying conditions, and like just way the city has been built and like has been allowed to crumble, besides for the gentrified areas now. And Detroit's like beautiful. Detroit's great, like, so it makes me mad. But
The same we feel about Karachi, by the way. Like same concept. The
yeah, oh my
infrastructure
god.
is falling, everything is there. But yeah, so how is
But
the
Karachi is
government?
way more crowded. Detroit's a
25
Karachi, like,
million.
oh my god, that's a whole other mess, right?
25
Like,
million, more than Holland.
oh my
It's a
god.
joke, more than Holland. I can't
Oh
believe
my god.
that.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
I'm trying to think about what I was trying to think about what I could do for Karachi too. But so yeah, so what they're doing right now, I mean, they're trying, like, I think the governor is doing the best that she can based off the situation. Trump doesn't like her, and so even though there's a federal reserve of like masks and like ventilators, there's not a lot, there's not enough for the entire country to meet their needs. So Trump really needs to be like forcing companies, like co-opting like factories and like
yeah, yeah.
asking them to produce like ventilators and things.
Yeah.
That's not currently happening. That's what everyone is like crossing their fingers for. Unfortunately, Trump seems to think this is all going to blow over by Easter, even though now we're all like Yeah, June,
He's
July, we're all going to be sitting. Yeah, he thinks the churches are going to be packed in on Easter, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. That's what Trump
but the
thinks.
funny part is he's like, America will be open for business by Easter, but America's not even closed down yet. Like
Yeah,
two-thirds of the
yeah,
country is
all
not
of
even
America is
closed down.
not being. Yeah, no. Michigan is closed down now. Michigan has been closed down for a couple days or a week or something. Literally, it's like it was either last Wednesday or the Wednesday before. It's all a blur to me now. But I think that depending on the area, people are taking it more or less seriously. I see when I go on walks in my neighborhood, I see so many more people out. And I've never been walking around in my neighborhood. Usually, like, I don't often, maybe once or twice a year, if that. So I'm seeing a ton of people. It seems like people are taking it seriously in my suburb. But again, like, my suburb is the kind of place where most people would be likely to be able to work from home and like, or would
Exactly.
access to these opportunities. And for someone to be in lockdown where they're like worried about rent or something, that's a different scenario. But the Senate just passed,
A $2
or
trillion stimulus, right?
yes,
And there's a lot of relief in it about
yeah,
small medium business owners and everything. Pakistan also released a stimulus package of 1 trillion rupees. There's a lot of stimulus packages being released all over the world. But
hmm
what I really like for example, if you take mainland Europe, like yesterday I talked to Asrafi, he's in France. He said that France has officially announced a lockdown in which if you're 1 kilometer away from your residence, you will be fined. And like in Spain, if you're outside without any valid reason, you will be fined. In Italy, if you're outside without a valid reason, you'll be fined. In Holland, if you're outside and you're three people, if you're more than two people, you will be fined. There's no reason for more than two people to be out. We're not in a complete state of lockdown yet, as bad as France,
yeah.
Spain, or Italy. Germany and Netherlands are, as far as news is concerned, as far as I'm reading the news, they're saying that they're fending off the threat really well. Uh, I don't know
I've heard that
how.
too.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it, maybe because a lot of people are not being tested here. But there's just, I think it's just Northern European culture that they're very rule and law abiding. They're like, okay, stay at home. They stayed at home. Some of them tried to go to public places, so they shut down the public places 2 days ago or last week. So beaches are closed and any public gatherings are closed. More than three people are not allowed anymore, and everyone's just staying at home. They're all like, I go
Yeah.
outside as well. I go out running every day, and when I go running every day, I see a lot of people, but they're all maintaining their distances, walking their dogs. Uh,
Yeah.
alone walking their dogs and everything, and then go into their house again. Some people are sitting on the bench, one person with a lot of space in the middle, and just reading their books or doing something. Everyone's trying to maintain their like the social distancing. So this is how the culture is built here, like the Northern European culture, right? They try to be law abiding, and that's apparently helping them. But like this is what the government is trying to instill into them. The US, the biggest problem is that the government, the federal government at least, is not really keen in imposing anything. So that's one problem.
No, they're not.
And the second problem is, as you said, there's a lot of independence per state. So, like I heard, New York is doing really well in trying to contain the virus by lockdowning stuff and closing schools. I think they've been ahead by weeks compared to everybody else.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think that so you would say that, like, it seems obvious that New York, because of the the way that that city is,
Definitely.
that they caught that virus pretty early compared to everyone else, but they only started shutting down around the same time that we did
Ah,
in
okay.
Michigan.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so, like, when things were, like, ramping down in New York, that's around the same time. We're only, like, a couple days lagging behind them, and so that, like, you know, I think New York should have been, like, actually, like, they're a couple weeks behind
Ah,
where
yeah.
they should have been, but at that time, nobody in the US was taking this crisis
But nobody
seriously.
in the world was taken it seriously, right?
Well, I mean, Washington and California were already pretty bad, and it was just obvious, right? Like, if you're looking at a city like New York, you're looking at a city like Karachi, like, they're gonna be bad because there's so many people living in the same place together. Like,
Yeah.
that's gonna go bad, and
But do you think? But do you see how Karachi, like the Sindh government, is handling it?
oh,
Everyone.
they're doing it great, right?
Exactly, right. So that's also like, again, then the system in Karachi is exactly like the US in that certain extent. There's a federal government and then the provincial governments. The provincial
Yeah.
governments have their own certain type of sovereignty, and they're really exercising it. Murad Ali Shah is trying to lock everything down. They issued a lockdown right now. It's pretty difficult for people to come out. Restaurants are closed. Everything is closed. People are getting bored. My friend got so bored he
I
bought
mean,
a
there's,
DJ.
like, a whole military, like, I saw those pictures of the police being like, I mean, there was, like, the police shutting things down. I think the other thing for Karachi, though, compared to the other parts of this country, are, like, we're so used to military shutdowns at this point. Like, how many times did it happen in our lifetimes where, like, The police are like, everything's closed, or even the police don't even have to come out. MQM comes out and they're just burning everything, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, so like
I'm fine.
we're used to it. This is like Karachi being the introvert of the coronavirus whole thing. Like it's very comfortable for
It's
Karachi
like,
to be
okay,
in. I won't feel bad for locking myself down because I've been through this a lot. But that's
but the,
usually happened
I
in
mean, I've that's what I've been joking, but like someone else was like, I was talking to another friend about this, and he was like, yeah, but like there's obviously there's like huge, those things would happen for like 2 days at a time, maybe a
exactly.
week max, like maybe a couple max, like it was never this long. And then obviously like it's not really that comparable because at least you were safe inside your own home, and you're not necessarily safe inside your own home now, especially with like joint families and stuff like
And not
that
just
in
that,
Karachi, and people cannot
maids.
afford exactly.
That's a big problem for us because I discussed with this, all the Pakistanis, like people living in Pakistan on the show, that how are you handling without a maid? Like you and me, we're used to it now, right?
Yeah,
Like I lived in Turkey for 4 years, so I had the benefit of cleaning my own shit, washing my own bathroom, and then I came back, got a little bit pampered in Pakistan for a few years, then moved back here, and then 1 year again the same concept. I know how to clean everything back again. I know what to do, but like in Pakistan, oh, it's a mess. Right? The maid is there to clean all the shit my brothers leave behind, my mom leaves behind. They all like
yeah,
without any care. The joke that I have is usually that you take a spoon to taste the curry, all right, and here in Holland you wash it again so that you can use it again. Right, or you just keep it on
yeah,
the side, or you use it again. In Pakistan, you taste it, you throw it into the sink, and then 5 minutes later, you want to taste it again. You take another spoon, and you taste it again
yeah,
because you're like, hey, it's not my
yeah.
responsibility. It's not my responsibility. So it's been difficult. My mom actually recorded a video of my siblings. My brother, Arbaz, was actually brooming and like sweeping the floor.
Oh, wow.
And Aish was washing the bathroom. My two cousins, Musra and Maram, and they were like cleaning the tables. Mom was doing the dishes, and she was like, "I'm so proud of my children right now." So this is the biggest problem for Pakistanis right now, not the coronavirus. They're like, you know what? This is not.
This is a big this problem for rich Pakistanis,
Yeah,
like, or
definitely.
like, like like
Like
the
the
kind of
people we talk to,
communities that we
yeah,
were.
that
Yeah,
kind of communities we talk to, this is
yeah,
the problem that's going on. And it's
yeah,
it's it's stupid, but it's a real problem because people are panicking about this, right? Guys try to run out of
yes.
the house so that they don't have to do this. Like another friend of mine, Suas, had to break down, like he had to powder or piece 5 kilos of gur, right? He was like, what is this? Like, I've been doing this for like, why am I doing this? And I was like, yeah, you have to do this, Suas. It's like, it's your job now.
What
Like,
but what else do you have to do right now? You know what I mean? Like that's so what other thing do you have to do? But the funny thing is, since I've moved back, my mom totally like took a picture of me sweeping too, because she was like, my little sister Iman is very like, api koi kaam nahi karti, api doesn't do anything, and I'm like, I come home for a week or two on break, and I always somehow come home sick, and I'm tired, and like, you really want me to be cleaning this house on top of the apartment that I clean anyway? Like, leave me alone.
oh,
what
that's
what am I making dirty? My room? Like, that's gonna stay a mess. It's fine.
well, it's just wonderful, like the whole concept of family, and how you tease each other about this, and like,
Yes.
yeah, that's something I'm missing because my mom always calls me. My mom calls me 5 times a day, right? And she always
Oh
calls
my
me,
god.
and she's like, I feel like you'll be busy, that's why I call you. Like you'll be bored, that's why I call you, because you have nothing to do, so I want to call you. If you were here, it would have been nicer. You can work from home anyways. Might as well work from Pakistan instead of working from your home. And I know it's the same thing. I'm like, mom, it's not really the same thing, but I know. And it's just wonderful. I think at this time, having family with you would
Yeah.
actually a benefit. Although you might want to feel like you want to kill each other at a certain point in time, but it's still better than being alone, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. I had the option of staying alone at my apartment, especially because I was quote unquote sick. And I was like, responsible thing for me to do right now would be to stick it out and wait here for 2 weeks, or at least wait here for a couple days for my symptoms to go away. So I know for sure that it's like allergies. And I was like, nope. I'm gonna go. I tried to stay for a day. Wednesday night, they shut down school. Thursday morning, I had an exam I had to go take. And then after that, and I had called like the doctor repeatedly beforehand because I was like, I don't want to infect anybody else, but I have to go take this exam. And they were like, you don't have it. It's fine. Like, you really don't have it. And I was like, are you sure? And I asked someone Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was like, are you sure? And then finally, I was like, you know what? If I was safe enough to take the stupid exam, I'm safe enough to go home. So
No.
I did.
Yeah.
I waited until like 6 p.m. Thursday. I went and took this exam at 9, and I lasted until 6 p.m. Thursday, and then I called my brother. I called my mom, and I was like, "Someone pick me up. I cannot."
So do you live nearby your own house, like nearby Canton?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Uh,
like a school's only like half an hour, 45 minutes, depending on the
yeah.
day, depending on the traffic. It can be an hour and a half if there's a blizzard, but
Yeah, I hate traffic. I have to travel from
yeah.
Eindhoven to Amsterdam every day, 1.5 hour commute, going and
Oh my
then
God.
coming back.
See, that's why you're happy because you don't have a commute. Anyone who has like a commute, like they're happy.
Yeah, but we chose to have a commute, right? I can choose to have a
Right,
car,
right.
but I don't want to have a car. That's the stupidest thing I can do when I have a bus. I have a train,
Yeah.
which gets me there. I am pretty happy. But yeah, I think like we can move everything back, and we've been talking a lot about all the things that have been happening. But I just want to understand how Ariba is doing, right? The biggest concern I'm having, which I talk to all of my guests about, is living alone really makes you wonder about a lot of things. And in this day and age of constant attention diversions, it's very difficult to take time for yourself. And when you do take time for yourself, you kind of get scared because you're so used to getting distracted all the time. It's just weird to sit alone in silence. So how are you coping with that? Are you already comfortable with that? You don't need to cope with it. How's it going with you?
I mean, I think so. I was definitely like your typical, like over committed, always like, like school shut down. And I was like, what am I going to do? What about my extracurriculars? I was planning this thing. Like, we were going to have a speaker come in. What am I going to do? And then if I don't have like 30 hours of work in a 24-hour window, I can't get any of my work done. Like, I'm like, either I'm so stressed, I have a million things to do, or I'm doing nothing. And so that part was so initially, like, even though I had a paper due that weekend and I was sick and I had to take this stupid exam, I was doing nothing, right? I was like, I don't know. And I was really stressed. And so instead of like how am I going to just move back home? How am I going to like put life on hold? Why is commencement canceled? I was so sad about that. But then that's when I threw myself into these causes, and then ramp that up for a while, and then I had like other stuff to do, and then it kind of like slowly like came down, and then slowly I was like, all right, like now I have more free time, and whenever if I'm too bored, I'll just post on Instagram and do something, or like make up some way to make up my time. But now I think I'm more comfortable just like sitting and staring into silence,
Sitting,
which
yeah, like sitting in
yeah, I mean, I
silence.
do have a book that I just got that I'm excited to read. Military
The Pakistan's book.
Inside Pakistan's Military Economy, second edition, Aisha Siddiqa. Yeah, I feel like this is like how I'm gonna be like, oh wow, that's why the country was such a mess. Like,
The guest yesterday, Asad Rafi, also recommended just books about Pakistan's history. He was like, you know what, you're in lockdown, and I feel like you should do something good. And there's nothing better to do for you in Pakistan is to just learn about Pakistan, and not that Pak studies level shit, but the real shit
yeah.
going
I mean,
on.
that's right. Like, I feel like we don't know anything. We learned a bunch of lies. We really learned a bunch of lies. And I wouldn't just recommend that, like, Pakistan, like, study level books. But at the same time, like, I've never had the time and the privilege to be able to just learn about South Asia. And I am really excited to now do that. There's this other book that I was reading that like my dad was actually excited to read, and so he's taking it over from me, and he's actually more ahead in it than I am, but it was about Karachi. And I've you've seen it on my story, I'm sure. It's like something about urban something, and it's so fascinating because it's like 2012, it's like focused in 2008, 2012, like whatever, and you're like, oh, so that time school shut down. Oh
Because of
yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me,
That's
I'm
what was
I'm more of a
happening.
big fan of like geography and history,
Yeah, that's true.
in its entirety, right? So I do
Right.
not really read about like Pakistan, Karachi, India per se. I read about like the subcontinent. So I like to read about what happened with the Mughal era, or what happened in the British colonization, what happened before the Mughal era. So there was another people there was the Mamluk that also came in before that, which were from Turkey, and this area has been conquered by so many people. And
Yeah.
the Greeks, the Macedonians also came here all the way till here. Alexander was here nearby.
Yep.
So this is what I had to read, because in this you can still find accurate accounts. Right, I am a bit skeptical about books about Pakistan written by Pakistanis, because even either they're going to be bashing or they're going to be supporting. I don't know
But
what to
okay, then
choose.
who?
Then who? I
Who
don't know.
else, right?
Yeah,
No, like who else are you gonna trust if not like I hate
yeah.
this. one of my side rants, okay, of like, why do we trust, like, if you're not going to trust a book on Pakistani history by Pakistanis, who are you going to trust? Like, why
I
do we,
don't. That's why I
why is
don't read it. That's why I
there,
don't read it. I don't read
why is
anything.
there a presumed, like, I feel like someone from the outside, if a foreigner writes about Pakistan, they have this presumed level of like unbiasedness, or is this, we take their word as if
Such a
it's like
lie. I completely,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
completely hate that because our Park Studies book was written by a Ghora, and that pissed me off. And I was like, why is the book
We
by?
had two. No, we had two written by Goras and one written by like some Desi dude, but we don't
Yeah,
even know.
I was like,
All
why
of
is
them
a
were
book about
lies.
Park
They're
Studies
all
written by a
lies.
British guy? I won't trust a British guy who's writing about Pakistan's history. I don't trust it, but I don't trust. Like, I am generally a bit skeptical. We talked about this yesterday as well, that we are really skeptical about our institution in Pakistan, right? And
Oh, 100%.
if I'm skeptical about my institution, I know how the military can be and how sometimes, like, infiltrating they are. So if there's a book outside about the military and it's being circulated and the military is not stopping it, that could be considered free speech. But for me, that can also be considered the fact that, you know what, I might have to take that with a pinch of salt, but that's just me. So that's why I
Yeah,
don't
I
really
mean,
get
I would
into.
take it with a pinch of salt, and I haven't
Yeah.
actually read this one, but it is apparently like pretty damning
Yeah,
to be
exactly. It's just weird,
So
like it's either
I'm not
0 to
surprised. I'm
100.
surprised she's alive, if that's what you're at. Like, I'm surprised someone didn't, but maybe she's just like focused only on things that the military. I think people are like, who's gonna read this, right? Like, kaun si Pakistani awam ko ye padhni hai kitab? Like,
Agreed,
Taranu.
completely agreed. Yes, but I have a lot of
So like,
I have a good amount of recommendations about Pakistani books now from you and
that's
Asad.
fair. But look how pretty
So
the cover is.
yeah, I really did like it, especially the whole picture behind the whole title.
Yeah.
You know what's that resembling, right? It's the thing that's resembling to me with that soldier. That's what's making me more happy about it.
I mean, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
for people
You're 5 years old.
who cannot see this, it's a soldier standing in a stance which I do not want to say, but most of you know it. It is the reason for World War II. That's all I'm going to say, right? But yeah, so moving back to everything, so you're handling it, you're saying you're coping with it well. I personally, as I said,
I
that
don't know if I would say well, but like as well as possible.
as well as possible, I personally recommend like mindfulness techniques and everything to
Yeah.
people because I'm a big fan of it. I've been doing it for years, failing at it at most times. I can happily say that, but I'm still trying because when you're sitting with your breath and you're just not thinking about anything and just thinking about the present moment, it really grounds you. So when I open my eyes after just 10 minutes of meditation in a day, and I just look around myself for that one brief moment, like that 10 seconds, I look at it, whatever I'm looking at, just for the sake of looking at that thing. No perceived thought, no perceived
Mhm.
bias about, no perceived perception about anything at that point. Just open my eyes and I look at this light and I go like, "Yeah, that's a wonderful light." And just thinking about the light, not anything behind that. And that just makes me really happy. So that's one thing I would recommend to you. If you're interested in that, Headspace is an amazing app. And I think they've gone free like every other big company is going around for trying to support the coronavirus whole thing. So really gonna recommend that if you're gonna go for that. It might help you, might not. Everyone has their own choice and their own taste, but this is my recommendation to you.
I'm laughing because we're such different people. You're like, let me be mindful. And I'm like, let me find 500 things I can do to fill up
Dude,
my
let
day.
me distract myself, definitely.
I think I'm going to try like going on like really long walks so I can get really bored. Like I can get tired, like been doing like maybe a mile every couple of days. Maybe I'll go jump that up to like 6 or 10.
I'm
Start
doing the
walking
same
around my
thing.
suburb that nobody walks around
I'm
except for
trying
during Corona.
I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm running. So I'm also running. And when I've been running for a couple of months, I've never been able to beat my personal best, right? I'm just running consistently. I'm like, you know what? My goal is to lose weight. That's all I want.
Yeah.
But for the past 5 days, I've been consistently beating my best by a few seconds every single time. I reached 5 minute, 10 seconds per kilometer. Yes, 2 days ago, it was 5 minutes, 5 seconds. Yesterday, it was 4 minute 57. Today's four
Yeah,
minutes
I think
three.
mindfulness isn't working for you and you're trying to run from your problems and that's why you're running faster and faster.
That
That's what
could
I think
be.
is happening.
No, but like I think I'm really happy. I'm trying to be happy with it, right? Ariba, give me that. I'm trying to be happy with that. But now let's move on to the just the closing part. I just want you already recommended a book to people, and but
I
obviously
haven't read it yet, so I don't know if I recommend it. I'm just saying I'm gonna read it. Who knows? Maybe I will finish this book by the end of Corona. Maybe in like 6 years I will still be reading it. I don't know.
But obviously, and I'm assuming this big time, but obviously you must be watching something, because what else would we be doing staying at home?
Weirdly, I'm not, which is
Oh shit, really?
it's shocking. Okay, so like when we were in school together, I watched hours and hours of TV every single day. I would come home 3 o'clock and I would watch TV until 9 p.m. or something, or 10, 11, like until like nonstop. And I think I did that even in law school, first year of law school, which is supposed to be the hardest. I would watch like 4 hours of TV a day. And now I'm just done. I think everything is boring. Like I don't I was like catching up. I was staying up to date with the Grey's Anatomy episodes. I got bored. I was staying up to date with This Is Us. I got bored. I have no attention span for it. So at this point, all I do is scroll on Twitter and I refresh and refresh and I scroll and I refresh and I'm like, this has to
Oh,
stop. So I'm debating like deleting the app because
yeah.
I'm not my phone usage went up like 130% and I don't know, it's a lot for me.
I am hating that. This is one thing I try to control myself with. I put timers on my social medias, 15 minutes a day, nothing more than that. And on top of that, I
15
was
minutes. Do you want to
yeah.
know how many hours and hours?
Yeah, I know.
Like an hour, like not even. The sad part is that I never even thought that this was a problem up until like coronavirus. I was like, yeah, I use like my phone for Instagram like probably 4 hours a day. Who cares? And now it's just gotten to the point where I'm like, oh God, my mind feels numb. I understand why all these people like you who are all like into meditation are always like, why
Block
is
it out. I block it out. And funnily, it's not just this. Monday to Friday, it's locked. I can't even touch it.
really?
I open it. It says, "Go back to work, you fucking idiot." It's blocked, and it says it in my face. I installed an app just for that. And then on Saturday, Sunday, it lets me use it for 15 minutes a day. And on top of that, if I ask for more time, it makes you beg. These are all like mind techniques of the mind to make you not use it. So after 15 minutes, it says, "Do you want more time? Are you feeling weak? You can up by 10 minutes if you want." And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to. You're playing with my ego, so I'm trying to control it. But even with 15 minutes, I'm getting so much into social media, just checking it every now. I'm like, trying to pace myself. So what I do is I check Facebook every hour now, but I only check it for like a minute, so I don't lose out on my
Yeah.
15 minutes. So I go like, done, 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 close. It's just bad for me.
That's like, yeah, I think that's what I was doing before. I would click on it like 50,000 times a day, but I'd only be on for like 15 seconds. And now I'm just like, I've spent over an hour and a half on just Twitter. Like,
Uh,
it's just,
no, it's right. The only reason I'm really active on Instagram these days is for this show. Other than that, I'm not even that active on social media. So I'm particularly really happy with that. I'm hoping it stays. But with coronavirus, I'm really, really feeling that I'm also going to be like with you on this, and probably going to be one of your admirers, and messaging you on your Instagram, like following your stories, sending you replies, and be like, "Yeah, I want more entertainment. I want more entertainment."
it's four people. Four.
I'll be number
Four.
fifth. So you're not watching anything. The only recommendation you have is either I think you're recommending social media, or you're saying please stay away from social media. So I'm gonna I'm gonna leave that open ended for the people to get that whatever they
Yeah.
conversation. But I hope this all boils over soon,
I
because
hope so too. I want to
you
go
have a
on a
lot
bar
of
trip in
things.
July.
You have a lot of things looking for. I have an engagement I'm looking forward to. All right,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
I
really
was like,
fun.
I was like, oh, I could stop over in Amsterdam, just go to the engagement and keep moving.
And I'm really hoping that it all goes according to plan, but you never know. This year was supposed to be my year. You know how much I'm in love with the
Yeah.
concept of marrying and marriage, and it's just annoying that
Yeah,
this is my
absolutely.
year.
You've always been such a romantic.
This
You
is
should
my
have like
year.
snuck it in 2019. 2020, nothing is gonna happen. Like,
Oh, this is
or you
gonna.
could just go tomorrow and just go get just go sign some paperwork and
No,
move
no, you
on.
you think you think I'll do it like that? You don't think there's gonna be big
No.
mehendi? There's gonna be a dance?
But you're gonna do it in Karachi, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a mix. I'm gonna have some Karachi stuff, some here, a little bit of it both sides, so that
Okay, because
keep
I'm like,
everybody
you
happy.
can't do a big Mindi unless it's in Karachi.
Yeah, definitely, that's my plan. But yeah, it was wonderful catching up with you, Areeba.
Yeah.
I hope you were as much entertained as I was with this conversation. This was one of the best conversations I had up till now, and
Well, I mean, I feel like every conversation with me. All
the
we
way.
did, this is just me like being obnoxious because all we did for like 6 years was just fight in the man. One time, I remember once you were asleep and I decided to randomly scream out of nowhere just because you were asleep. And you woke up, you jumped out of your seat and you freaked out. And Beecha Van Uncle turns around and he looks at me and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, it seemed like the right thing to. It was so boring. Come on.
Well, yeah, that's like, this is what me and Ariba always do. This we always push back at each other. We always have fun with each other, and we're both really full of ourselves. That's one of the reasons I love talking to Ariba, because she's the only one who gets me. No one else gets me why I say stuff that I say. Only you hear her saying stuff like, "Okay, every conversation with me is fun as well." So that's exactly what it is. And I hope everyone else had the same amount of fun that me and Ariba did. And
Mintu's for listeners.
But yeah, thank you so much, Areeba, for being on the show.
Of course.
And thank you all so much for tuning in today. This was day 10. And we're not there till how far Areeba has been yet. So day 15 is still far away. But tomorrow I'm going to be here for day 11. And let's see where we're going to go tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll talk to you next time.